While the topic in today's poems cover a very broad range of topics, what ties them together is the tried and true element of poetry, the observation. Even as a kid, I watched everything around me and did so with a very critical eye. You could say I was born to do this, maybe born to write poetry. If poetry is something you're doing, observing things up close with a load of scrutiny can often lead you to creation. I describe these poems as a look inside each of us, or you could say all of us. In this first poem, I'm observing what's inside the collective us. Think about this. What if you spent your whole life living inside a stranger? I think most people do, and fear ends up being their landlord. In this poem, I'm going to pull back that curtain on everything you're maybe too scared to face. It's not about being brave, it's about being honest. This poem doesn't offer comfort. It dares you to know yourself. Look fear in the eye so you can meet the real you. This poem's entitled The Stranger Living Inside You. Fear is not monolithic. Fear is a mistress that's always one step ahead, sometimes causing panic, other times fleeing, always bigger than the room, and also capable of generating a stillness where euphoria should reside. Regardless of its shape or tone, the only constant is it's going to bind you up. Your fate's decided by how you choose to deal with discomfort, because fearfulness isn't going anywhere. Get used to it. Introduce yourself, not to make a truce, and certainly not in search of kinship. Nope, get to know terror, and only then will you be introduced to yourself. How we answer our fright is the defining element of each of us, a part we'd rather not know. How funny we are, willfully wallowing in our ignorance. That notion, it baffles me. Imagine living inside a stranger. No thanks, I'll pass. Next time fear's in your face, stare right back. Eye to eye in honesty. State your case. It's your only chance. Keep a stiff neck, back straight, head up. You got this. I'm curious, what did that poem elicit in you? Did it open doors, metaphorically, or do you not see this element in the same way? In that poem, I wanted to dismantle the myth that fear is a singular force. From my perspective, fear is a shape-shifting mistress, sometimes loud, sometimes silent, always suffocating. Fear's part of life, and I think the biggest mistake you can make is believing the fantasy of outrunning fear. It can't be done. So I say that true strength lies in confronting it head on, refusing to sugarcoat the battle. You should introduce yourself to your own terror, not try to make peace. And the reward is finally meeting the truest parts of ourselves. I consider that poem a call to stop living like strangers inside our own skin. If you've ever felt paralyzed by fear, I hope that poem won't let you stay comfortable. It'll push you to plant your feet, lift up your chin, and choose to live wide awake. Speaking of being awake, knowing what's going on, I'm about to drop a book of my best poems, and if you put poems down in the comments, I'll get you a massive discount, plus some exclusive content, so you go ahead and do that right now. Let's move on to another poem. Continuing this internal exploration, we go between the ears, taking a look at the most amazing of creations, the human mind. And you might not be surprised, I'm looking at it when things are not going as planned. Madness isn't born in chaos, it's built in silence. Every small cruelty, every careless word leaves a mark. We don't notice the weight until it breaks us. They call it insanity like it's a switch you flip, but it's a slow reactor, overheating every day. Listen, I've seen this from a lot of different angles, and this is how it really happens. This poem's entitled Pebbles in the Mind. Labels like insanity are rubber stamped upon some by society. Beyond the chemical elements, madness is an ineptitude we don't accept, wholly unqualified. I'll share my thoughts on this topic. A million little strikes are the fuel that launches lunacy. Seldom it's one thunderous calamity, rampant inconsideration, cruelty for the sake of satisfaction, trivial parts of life that need not happen, the mental equivalent of the pebble in your shoe. All delivered in a steady drumbeat, as relentless as a honey badger. It begs the question, how could someone not go mad? At some point, like a nuclear reactor, you're either going to shut down or blow. Some advice. Learn to take your own temperature so you're not the next to melt down. I hope you got something out of that poem. So often we tiptoe around that topic, and please know I'm nothing but sympathetic to those who struggle here. Instead, I want to share a perspective that could help. I think there are some comfortable myths about insanity, and perhaps some, through relentless erosion, find themselves there. What should we do differently if life's trivial slights can grind down even the strongest of minds? I'm in no way making a diagnosis. Rather, I'm asking questions. Could a society indifferent to the damage it inflicts be the cause, one tiny crack at a time? Perhaps it could be extremely beneficial if we, from time to time, check our inner temperature before the pressure cooks us from the inside out. Now I want to go way back to my youth for my next poem. Again, an observation, and this poem's a little tongue-in-cheek. I had fun with it. Have you ever stared into the dead eye and seen yourself? Maybe not, maybe. This poem's entitled Eyeballs on Ice, the True End of Glory. The sea is a source of life. Without it, our lives would quickly cease. That's why the fish market is so off-putting to me. Moist beyond comfort, an olfactory assault. And like Dick Lewis, you're always being watched. Case after case of eyeballs on ice. Death unhomogenized, from the sea to a bed of shaved ice. Not a desirable conclusion to a glorious tale, but it's our story, the story of survival, eat or be eaten. I wonder if the flounder understood those rules. Now that poem's wholly different than any of the others. That's fairly indisputable. And I like to try and stretch myself. And that's a good example, or maybe it's a poor one. Let me share where I'm coming from. At first glance, a fish market seems like a celebration of abundance, the ocean's bounty laid out for human survival. But in that poem, I am forcing us to confront the uncomfortable truth that survival is soaked in death, that even the most glorious life ends cold and watching. I used moist floors, relentless odors, and the lifeless eyes on ice as metaphors for a world where we all must learn the rules or pay the price. In this piece, I didn't want to romanticize the ocean's generosity. Instead, I wanted to remind us that survival is not graceful. It's brutal, raw, and inescapable. The flounder's fate becomes ours, a stark parable for a life driven by necessity, not nobility. I'm enjoying this conversation we're having here today. I hope you are too. Let's keep things going. I want to share these poems with you now. I'm anxious to share them, and hopefully you'll share your thoughts about them too, and I'm going to see you over there now.